Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Jstfish Outdoors. I'm your host, Dale York, and Jstfish Outdoors is brought to you by Ranger Boats, where we still build legends one at a time. For Yamaha Outboards, the reliable choice. Larew Lures and Bobby Garland Lures. Folks, I was out this last weekend and had the opportunity to really do some pretty good, interesting things on hybrids here in Northeast Oklahoma. For those of you who may not understand what or not know what hybrids are, they're a cross between a sand bass and a striper, and they're a very, very aggressive fish. Just an excellent game fish. They're very good to eat, and they're very good to fight. And they're very willing participants this time of year, even when the water temperature gets down in the 50s and even in the upper 40s, folks. These fish really, really can stretch your string, and what I'm going to talk about a little bit later on is how to find these fish, how to catch these fish, and in some cases, the best baits that's available for these fish. But first, what's coming up is a report from Dave Clark from Fish on Guide Service. He's going to tell us what he's been up to this week and hopefully enlighten us as to what's happening on the spoonbill population.
Hello, it's David Clark, Fish on Guide Service, doing my weekly report for Dale York's Jstfish Outdoors webcast. Comes on Thursday nights. This last week I didn't do a whole lot of fishing. I did go one time with Larry Wine and Butch Cross. We went over to Fort Gibson, spoonbill fishing. We did find some good spoonbill over there. I think we caught 11 or 12. The biggest was about 60 pounds. But the biggest majority of them were males around 30 to 40 pounds, somewhere in that area. We did find them in about 30 foot of water, and the water on Gibson was about 55 degrees. They were in there pretty good. We caught one female and all the rest were males. The reports coming in from Keystone haven't been real good. It's still a little bit murky. Bait's kind of hard to find out there, good sized baits anyway. And the fish reports just haven't been very good. Catfishing's been okay, but not real good, and not very many stripers being caught at all. Sooner Lake was over the weekend, was pretty good. A couple days were good. One day it was going pretty good and the wind laid down and the fish quit biting. That's one thing you don't want on Sooner Lake, was when there's no wind blowing at all. Of course, there's a fine line there. There's either no wind or too much wind. You got to have some wind, but it can get pretty windy over there if you're not careful. It gets real bad. There's nothing to block the wind over there at all, or any place to hide when it starts going. But the water temperature over there is about 54 degrees. Up in the warm water channel, it really depends on if they're generating or not. The last report I got was 60 degrees in the warm water channel, and a few hybrids were caught and some white perch over in there. Skytook Lake, there was a couple of good reports come from there over the weekend. David Nass caught some pretty nice hybrids up there. The lake does look like it's down a couple feet, but the website doesn't show that, but it does look like it's down some. Water temperature is still in the mid-50s, and it's I don't know if it's going to get any better or get worse as the winter goes on. Rusty Pritchard's still catching quite a few spoonbill up on Grand Lake. If you're interested in going to Grand, I think he's out in pretty deep water, about 60, 70 foot of water. Anyway, it's David Clark, Fish on Guide Service. Contact me on my Facebook page or on my website, fishonok.com. Fish on.
Thanks, Dave, for that report, folks. It's really getting some we're really getting some good weather around here in Northeast Oklahoma for this time of year. For almost it being December, we've had some high 60s, some even some low 70-degree days. And boy, I tell you what, when you have those kind of days, you really need to get out and take advantage of them. Because we do have a few of those here in Northeast Oklahoma, and and I tell you what, for sure, I definitely get out and take advantage of every one of those that I can. What I'm going to show you today is, or this evening, is a video I shot last Saturday That'd be November 25th up on Skytook. I had the opportunity to get out for a couple of hours and really enjoyed myself. The weather was pretty nice. It was really rather enjoyable once you bundled up just a little bit, and the hybrids were very accommodating up in the Skytook area. And we'll talk a little bit about how to find these things and how to catch these things once we show you a little bit of what happened this weekend up on Saturday up on Skytook. So stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit more after we watch this video. Well, we got something here. I think it's a little hybrid. That didn't take long. Smaller bait. Yeah, it's a hybrid. Oh, oh, you little turkey. Got a nice little hybrid. Up on Skytook this afternoon. Catching hybrids. These are a blast to catch, and they're pretty good eating fish too. No, no. Ah, darn it. Missed one. Not that one. It's smaller. Ah, darn it. There's another one. I think there's a little bigger. I'm just running this on 6-pound line, so it's not exactly like I can do a lot with them when they eat it. No, get back. Come here, fish. Get back. Well, there's another one. You know, you can catch these fish pretty much year round. You just have to get out there and look for them. You know, these fish are an absolute ball to catch, and they're very willing participants even in the wintertime. I'm on Skytook Lake here in northeast Oklahoma. Water temperature is about 59, 60 degrees. What has happened is a lot of these hybrids have come out of the deeper water that they haunt most of the year because the shad have moved out of that deeper water. And, you know, they're like most other fish. They're going to go to where the buffet goes. And all I'm doing is I'm throwing a little bait here. Quit. It's got a little spinner on it, Roadrunner looking thing. Chartreuse metal flake. But one of the key factors is how I'm fishing this. You know, what I'm doing is I'm locating the schools of fish with my Lowrance Carbon HDS 16, and then I'm coming back and I'm bottom bouncing this bait. What I'm actually doing is throwing that bait out there, letting it hit the bottom, and hopping that bait up and letting it fall back. And 99 out of 100 times the strike will come when that bait is falling back. You need real sensitive equipment to do this with, because when this time of year, when that water temperature is this low and even lower, a lot of times the strike will be very, very light. It'll just be a tick on the end of your rod tip. That's all you'll feel. And if you don't set the hook when you feel that tick, you're not going to be able to catch that fish. And if you don't have a light enough rod with light enough line, you're not going to feel that fish hit. And that's even more important, because you sure can't jerk at him if you don't feel him. You know, it's Saturday, November 24th, and it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. We got a slight northeast wind, partly cloudy skies. It's just real pleasant out here temperature-wise. It's not bad at all. And these fish are more than agreeable if you can get it in front of them. You know, the presentation is the key here, folks. Like I said, I'm throwing that bait out there, letting it hit bottom, hopping it up, letting it fall back, hopping it up, letting it fall, just repeating the process. And you really, really have to pay attention, because a lot of these fish are hitting really, really light. You know, I'm fishing 6 6-foot spinning rod, 6-pound line, and that's what's allowing me to feel these fish. And of course, up on the front of the bow of my Ranger here, I've got a Lowrance HDS 12 carbon, and that's allowing me to stay on top of these schools by constantly watching those electronics and finding those schools of fish. You know, they're not real big schools of fish right now. They're more or less roaming pods because they're chasing these shad. And so you really need to pay attention to your electronics in order to stay on top of these fish and find these fish. You know, fishing offshore like this, even though, you know, I'm not way out in the middle of the lake, but, you know, like I always say, you can't catch them if you can't find them. And that great Lowrance electronics will sure help you find those fish in a hurry. Oh, there's one. Folks, these hybrids are actually very good to eat. You can take and clean them, and they have a strip of red meat in the fillet. And if you'll take that strip of red meat out and just use whatever batter or cornmeal that you prefer. Look at there, there's a sauger. That's a nice little walleye there. See the white tip on its tail there? That's probably the best eating fish we have in Oklahoma, folks, but they're a little hard to come by. If you ever get the chance to get on these, you definitely want to look at the regulations, make sure they're legal size, and take some of these home and try them, because these things are absolutely fantastic. But be careful, because they have a mouthful of teeth. Don't be trying to lip them, because you'll get a nasty surprise. The boat's sitting in about 27, 28 foot of water, and I'm fishing that anywhere from that probably around 15 foot out to close to the depth of the boat. Oh, I missed that one. Oh, got that one. Oh, these things are fun on light tackle, especially this time of year. And you know, you really don't need live bait to catch these fish, folks. You know, they're pretty accommodating on even artificial lures. You know, the main trick is to find them. And if you can find enough of them, you can catch your limit. Get back, Brink. Get back. Ah. There's another one, folks. They like they're all running about the same size, but that's a very nice eating size. and then they're just loads of fun to catch, just loads of fun. And like I said, you know, with some of these good days that we have in Oklahoma this time of year, you definitely need to get out and give them a try. They're very, very accommodating fish. Got to retie here. It's one of the bad things about fishing light line. All right. Let's go see if we can get another one. I bet there's another one out there. I've marked quite a few on the Lowrance carbon. So let's see if we can get us another one. Like I said, folks, the whole secret to this is the presentation. It's throwing that bait out there, letting it hit bottom, and then hopping it off of bottom and letting it fall back. I had a couple hours to get on the water today. I don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to come up and do a video for you folks and show you that the hybrids were alive and well in Skytook. And folks, I really can't emphasize enough how important top-rate electronics are when you're doing this, because you know it just makes everything easier. It just makes everything easier. You know, if you can find the fish, especially these hybrids, if you can find them, you can catch them. I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce head, like I said, on 6-pound lines. Got a little willow leaf spinner behind it. These particular heads are made by Timmy Tom's Jig Company out of Arkansas. He makes just some wonderful, wonderful heads, folks. You can find him on the web. He also makes some excellent, excellent fiber guard jig heads specifically designed for crappie fishermen. And I tell you, folks, they are, without a doubt, the most weedless heads that I've ever had or I've ever used. So check him out on the web, Timmy Tom's Jig Company.
Yeah, folks, that was a really, really enjoyable afternoon up on Skytook last Saturday. And like I said, it was November 25th. And we caught several hybrids up on Skytook doing that presentation I was talking about, where we were throwing that jig out on a 1/4 ounce head out in about 15, 20, 25 foot of water and bouncing that thing back towards the boat. And we were just hammering hammering hybrids and really enjoyed a very nice afternoon. The weather was great. The fishing was great. You just really couldn't ask for a better day this time of year, especially in northeast Oklahoma. It was wonderful, wonderful weather. A couple of tips I'll throw at you. You know, I talked briefly about, you know, when you're looking for these hybrids this time of year in the lakes that have them, you really need to find the shad.
That's half the battle. Once you find the shad, like I said, those hybrids are not going to be very far away from the buffet table. So, if you can find the shad, you can definitely look around and find the hybrids. And, once you start playing with them a little bit, one of the things I'll point out, when I first started fishing for these Saturday, I was throwing a 3.5, 4-inch bait, and I basically got 0 strikes. I mean, nothing. And I've talked about this before about matching the hatch, matching the size of a bait fish that these fish are feeding on. And as soon as I went down to 2 3/4, 3-inch bait, first cast I got a strike. That's how important it can be, just moving or sizing your bait to match the hatch. It really, really can be absolutely the best thing in the world whenever you're looking for these fish. And trying to get them to bite, because I tell you what, they sometimes can get so selective in the size of the bait fish they're feeding on that they just will not look at anything else except something in that size range. So really pay attention to that, and I guarantee you it'll put more fish in a boat for you. Once again, this is Dale York, Just Fish Outdoors. If you have any questions, have any comments, feel free to drop me a line, justfishoutdoors@justfish.com, or you can reach me on my Facebook page, Just Fish Outdoors, and I'll certainly try to answer any questions that you throw my way. And like I said, folks, in the upcoming shows, we're going to have some interesting stuff, some exciting stuff from Lowrance, some of the new units that they're getting ready to market. Just a wealth of knowledge. That's what Just Fish Outdoors is all about, is transferring that knowledge, helping you catch more fish. That's what we're all about, folks. And hopefully in the coming weeks, you'll enjoy some of what we're doing. And hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll certainly try and do our best to not only entertain you, but also educate you on how to catch more fish. So until next week, this is Dale York, Just Fish Outdoors, saying we'll catch you later.